So good evening. Thank you so much for joining me for our 216th budget cycle. So that says quite a lot in and of itself. I'll present to you the district's proposed budget as well as the other propositions that you'll be voting on the 16th. Lowville's mission is central to the work that we do here every single day. Every decision the board and I make is based on the needs of students. So we are passionate about helping to build students who are self-confident, high-performing, and prepared for society. Our budget goals. In every budget, the district focuses on several goals. Mostly, we try and balance the educational program. We have a robust and rigorous program while staying below the tax cap. And so luckily, again, this year we're able to do that. Our tax cap was 2.7%, but we're able to stay well below that for our taxpayers this year. Our strategy. So our strategy really, the way that we contain costs for our taxpayers is by focusing on a multi-pronged approach. The first is to use our reserves. As you know, we have pilot reserves. And we've saved them over the years from the many pilots that we have in the district. And we manage the existing and future revenue loss because although we had a lot of money coming in at one point, we do continue to experience a loss in revenues from pilots over the years. And also, as we move through this presentation, it's important to note that our district is now fully funded in foundation aid. So large increases in future aid are not expected, and inflation has also had an impact on all areas of the budget, with significant increases in energy expenses and diesel fuel, from a typical increase of cost each year just from doing business as usual. All right, so our Proposition 1, this is our overall budget, and I'll get into the really specific pieces of this budget. We're proposing a $30 million budget, $30 million, $147,792. That's a 4.83% increase, though we are only projected, we have a tax increase of only 1.99% for our community. So in every budget, there are three main parts. The first part is the administrative budget. This includes salaries and benefits for all school administrators and supervisors who spend the majority of their time supervising administrative duties. Also included are expenditures for the operation of the 3 school building offices, the Board of Education, Central Administration, Business Office, as well as other administrative activities. So it's usually about 10% of our budget. We're almost always hovering right around there, very rarely over that. And so that's no different this year. This is the budget broken down for the administration piece. So as you can see, if you look all the way to the right, it'll say the change in the budget that we adopted last year and then the proposed budget for this year. And you'll see if you look on the 4th item down, it says central services and special items. So I really want to pay attention to that really quickly because it did really explode. This is due to rising energy expenses, but we also put the salary of our new school safety officer in that line item. So we added a position that didn't exist previously, and so that's included in there. So the total increase in that is $165,852 from last year to this year. The second biggest part of our budget, or the biggest part of our budget, is the program. This is $20 million. It's usually about 70% of our budget. And so this includes the salaries and benefits of teachers, instructional support staff, and supervisors who spend the majority of their time performing teaching duties, as well as operating expenses for the instructional program and school transportation. So as you can see, anything that has direct correlation with students, we spend the most money on, which makes sense because we're a public school and we're here for our kids. So this is the program piece. broken down. Do I need to use this anymore? It was really loud and now it's not. Anyway. Okay, so big changes here. An increase of $733,000, but it accounts for a large increase in the cost of services for students with disabilities and those who attend occupational education programs, as well as for the replacement cost of our instructional technology equipment. So it is quite an increase, but we have to make sure that we're meeting all students' needs regardless of who they are. And so if they come to us with some significant educational needs, we meet them where they are and we get them exactly what they need. So we support all of our students and we're happy to provide them with an education. Last is capital. So the budget components includes funds for principal and interest payments on debt service from capital projects and the purchase of buses, cleaning and maintenance costs for district facilities, including salaries and benefits, service contracts, supplies and utility costs, as well as the annual capital outlay project. That's 21% of our budget, just over about $6.5 million. Okay, so all right, the capital component increases largely due to payments on our bus bonds. Buses are paid for over a 5-year period, which matches how we are aided, and a $150,000 increase to transfer to capital fund related to the capital outlay project. And it's also included as a 4th bus that we're buying this year. I don't know if you read in the newsletter that we typically buy 3 buses, we're buying 4 buses so that we can push off as long as we can this transition to electric buses. So we're kind of increasing the number of buses we're buying now, because if you already own them, you can keep them for as long as they work. But if the date comes and you need a bus, you have to buy an electric bus. So we're increasing that every year. Big picture. So these are the 3 main areas sort of overall broken down for you. So you can see the change in each section: administrative, program, and capital. And so that is a almost $1.4 million increase to our budget. Overall, our budget will increase 4.83%, which is well below the current CPI of 8%. We were able to minimize the total increase as a result of retirements and level spending in other areas. The effort, along with using our reserves and raising taxes, will be able to continue with little impact to students. Revenues. So how much money are we getting? That's always the most exciting part, and we always wait, and the budget's always late, so we're sitting on pins and needles.
I have a question about some of the previous slides. The only place we saw a reduction is in employee benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the employee benefits the only place that we saw a reduction when all of the aspects of our lives are impacted by inflation?
So the only reason there would be a reduction is through retirements, breakage. So if someone who's making $75,000 retires and we replace them with a first-year teacher who's making $35,000, that's a big reduction. We're not reducing any benefits or any salaries. You know, once you're here, you always move up.
And then with the bus purchases, like I understand like the strategy there, but with the current interest rates that are like the base rates, I mean, it's greater than it's been in a very long time. We got a new car loan for an average person is like 11%, right? So is it the best time to be purchasing that kind of thing with the interest rates we're facing today?
So our interest rates are different than if you were
right.
Yeah,
I was going to say, we're bonding for 3 of them, so, and the other one's just straight out purchase.
Okay, well, what's interest rate for the ones you're bonding?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
We don't go out to, we don't do that until the summer.
Okay.
Well, we should also point out, by doing this, we're buying an extra gas bus at about $150,000. 2027, we have no choice but to buy electric buses which right now are running between $350,000 and $450,000 a bus. So what we may pay a little bit more in interest, we sure as heck make up in less capital expense. And all we're trying to do is push it off. The state, this is a state mandate. We're stuck with it. And in 2035, we can't have any gas buses unless they change the rules. So we're just trying to save some money up front.
And can I add one thing too, just in terms of reflecting what we talk about at the meetings? From my perspective, I'm like, well, okay, they may cost more, but if it's more environmentally friendly, maybe that's a good investment. But the discussion came out that in a rural district where the buses have to go much farther, the weather's bad, you could have buses breaking down. You know, it's one thing if you're in a city, but right now the technology's not there yet to really accommodate electric buses in that district. So that's why we're trying to get as many of gas. I appreciate your asking those questions.
We also have the capital expense for the cost of our bus garage. So you have to put charging stations in. We're not going to be able to put as many buses in. And the state, in its infinite wisdom several years ago, limited schools to having bus garages, new bus garages that don't handle more than 40% of the fleet. If we have 60% of our electric fleet outside, buses, electric batteries don't charge as well outside as they do inside.
We will have lots of public comment sessions when we get to electric vehicles in a couple of years. We'll have plenty of time to hash this out. So just going over the revenues, about 1% of a tax increase to our community is about $45,000. So 1.99, well, it's just a little bit over 94,000. So as you can see with the reserves, we have a dip of 700,000, and with our appropriated fund balance, we also have that. So we're going into our reserves, and we always use our reserves from the pilot to plug our budget, and we'll continue to do that as responsibly as possible. And our tax levy is still really artificially low. And what Mr. Young was saying earlier about our tax rate is 7.7% about, which is far lower than anyone in our area. And we're proud of that. We're proud to be able to continue that for as long as we can. We'll go to this. This is just, this shows our fund balance and reserves percentage of expenditures. And this just kind of shows if we continue to use our reserves right now at the rate that we are, we know they're going to run out sometime. We understand that. And so this is our projected decrease in our fund balance and reserves. So by 2026, hopefully we will have come up with much better ways of finding money to pay for the things that we do for our students. Okay, Proposition 2 are the buses. And so you won't see the fourth bus on this, and I'll explain that because we are purchasing the fourth bus outright, so it's not a proposition. This proposition is to bond 3 buses. And that continues our district replacement plan. We've always done, well, we've done 3 buses for quite a while each year. And what we do is we trade in 3 old buses and get 3 new buses. The bond will not exceed $370,000, and we do it over a 5-year period. Proposition 3 is Head Start, transportation of Head Start pupils on regularly scheduled bus routes. It's no additional cost to the district, and it's 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. And then Proposition 4 is the library levy. New York state law allows public libraries to petition school districts to raise a levy to fund the libraries. So the last time the libraries petitioned for an increase was last year, 2022. That was $25,000. So this levy is in addition to the district amount previously discussed. They are looking for an increase from $40,000 to $140,000. That is a total of $135,000 annually to the Lowville Free Library and $45,000 annually to the William H. Bush Memorial Library. And then the school board. So we put it as close to how you're going to see it on the ballot. We don't have a copy of the ballot. We usually do by now to show you, but we don't. We're supposed to get them tomorrow or the next day. So you'll see first will be Charlotte Sullivan, second Stephanie Hauser-Faust. They are both running for the seat vacated by Becky Kelly last year. Then the open seat of Tom Schneeberger. You have Carrie Herbine and Steve Fuller. That's the order you're going to see them in. It's just random. That's how you actually have to pick out of a hat to see who goes first. So it doesn't mean anything about, standing. And then lastly will be the seat held by Mike Young, and that will be Cheyenne Styria and Mike Young. So voting for the budget and all those propositions, as well as the school board member election, is on the 16th from noon to 8 in the high school auditorium. Parking is always on the side of the building, and you'll just go right in by the boys' entrance, and we'll be there. If you have any questions specifically, I gotta show that stuff. If you have any questions specifically, please don't hesitate to call the district office. We are honestly here to inform the community, to help answer any questions you may have. No one is ever a bother. We're here for the community, and we're all here for our students. And so we know that we've put together a very responsible budget for this year, with only having a 1.99% increase. That's the lowest it's been in some time. So I'm proud of the work we've done. And of course, Sandy, I cannot thank you enough for being the best business official in the world. At any rate, that concludes my presentation.